Dutcha How, Washa Michael Larson, Washa Neiman Depungyu. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Larson from BBC IML, and this is A Moment with Mike. So last night, I went to bed probably about 10 o'clock or so, and maybe a little after 10, but just about to get to sleep, and all of a sudden my dog Zeus roars out and going crazy, running through the house and making all kinds of noise and barking, and he can bark very loud, and he can be very intimidating. Even though he is a big teddy bear, he can be very intimidating. So I wonder what's going on. I'm half asleep. I stumble out of bed and I go out to see what's going on, and it's dark outside, so it's hard to tell. So I turned on a light out in the yard, and then Zeus is going nuts. He wants to get out there so badly. So I opened the door and actually went out there with him, and then there was a bear that was running through the yard, and he went out and he sniffed that path where the bear was, and looking all over for him, and just making sure his yard was safe. I'm kind of proud of him in that way. But it was the same bear that I saw about a week ago. And I think it was the same bear that was there the week before that, and the same bear that was there about the week before that. So just a little curious. I've been studying so I studied the bear a little bit to find out why it would come back so frequently. And a bear has a territory, and it'll circumference that territory constantly. It's always going around in that territory. It's always got a plan. It knows where it can get its food. It knows where it's safe. It knows probably how long you'll be someplace. They've got great sense of smell. It can smell if there's something within their territory. And they have great hearing, incredible hearing. Probably their eyesight is their least favorable, but they're designed to be at night, so their night's eyesight is very good. But at any rate, so it has its own little pattern, and that's why this bear would come back about every 7 days, because they have about a 60-mile run, or about 60 miles that they will take. Some bigger bears will have a little bit bigger territory than that, but this is a rather small. Well, 200 pounds is a big bear, but it's mediocre size for bears around here. But at any rate, about the same size as me, and but they're very particular on what they do. They're very intelligent. In fact, it's been studied that a bear is more intelligent than an orangutan, maybe second only to humans as far as intelligence goes. And seeing what they do with bird feeders and how they get to bird feeders when they have everything, when you try and make them bear-proof, is almost impossible. So I know they're very intelligent, but they don't waste any energy. Everything is on a particular pattern, and they know where they can get their food. See, they have to put on almost a quarter of their weight. So a 200-pound bear has to put about 50 pounds on during the summer. 800-pound bear has to put about 200 pounds on in the summer. So they have to constantly be eating, and so they're very driven by what they're doing, and very effective, very efficient animals. They're very smart. And one of the stories one of my clients when I was in the hearing aid industry had, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. He had this huge bird feeder system. They loved feeding the birds, but this particular bear kept coming in and destroying their bird feeders. They were always having to rebuild them. So he came up with the brilliant idea that he was going to put an electric fence around the backyard so that the bear could not get in there. And he was an electrical engineer at one time. So he routed this wire fence with about 14 joules of power, which is quite a bit if you know what that is. That'll give anything a pretty good jolt. So he got this fence all built up, and it was ready to go. And he went inside, and he didn't turn it on right away. And he happened to look out the window just as this bear was sticking his head through this fence. Well, unbeknownst to him, a bear will not back up. A bear will always go forward. So he decided he was going to turn this electric fence on and take care of this bear, make sure it got out of there. As soon as that electricity hit that bear, he took off, and they don't back up. He took all the wire of all the fence, his bird feeders and everything, and drug them clear out into the woods. And the guy learned his lesson about bears. He put all that time and effort in, and the same thing happened anyways, only it was worse. Now he had to go try and find all of his contraptions. But they're amazing. A bear are very intelligent, and they'll do just about it. And they're very precise on what they want to do, and they're very consistent. They have to be. They have to use their time very wisely because they hibernate in the wintertime. So they have to put that weight on. They have to be persistent and consistent about where they're going, getting the best food so they can put their weight on. And it makes me think about what I'm going through right now. And in business, especially the online world, there's so much out there, so much potential. On Facebook alone, I think it's somewhere around 3 billion Facebook users now. That is a huge ocean. And what I've learned from what I'm doing with this online program is you want to be part of a big ocean like that, but you don't want to be part of the whole big ocean because you get lost in the sea. And it's what they call the bloody ocean, the red ocean, because there's lots of sharks where there's lots of people. So you have to be precise. You have to be very efficient on your message and who the people you want to serve, because you want to go back, you want to turn that into a blue ocean again. You want to be within this giant ocean, but you want to have your own little niche, something that will attract people. So you're not wasting effort, because you have to put a lot of weight on. You have to make money or make hay while the sun is shining. And you have to have your own little niche. See, people are not motivated by what they expect. You have to be outstanding. You have to go beyond what they expect in order for them to be inspired or motivated. And if you're just doing what everybody else is doing and you're in that red ocean, now the only thing that is going to inspire them at that point is if you have the least expensive in that big ocean. And then you've got to race to the bottom. Everybody's trying to race to get to the bottom. That's Walmart. That's all of the different Target. That's the dollar stores. They're all trying to do that race to the bottom because they're all trying to be in that big red ocean. So what you have to do is you have to have something that's has value over everybody else. If you can prove that they need it, and you can prove the only place that you can get it is from you, then they have to buy. They have to buy. And if you can prove that there's more value there than they ever expected, or if you can add more value than they ever expected, and this is true in whatever you do. I see Kim is on right now. She's with Mary Kay, and she just had a huge celebration recently. I think she became, well, I don't know what the step up is, but she just went up in a step. And I guarantee you the reason she is being so successful is because she's offering something that people can't get anywhere else. And she's adding value they don't expect. And that's what we have to do in business, is we have to add value where they don't expect it. If you just get value where they expect it, then they're going to look for the cheapest price. But if they get something they don't expect, wow, now this is a deal. I didn't expect that. I don't have any problem paying that amount now. But you have to have, so there's 3 different areas that people will buy for. Number 1 is health. Number 2 is relationship. And number 3 is wealth. So those are the 3 subjects that you have to, and you cannot be in 2 of them. You can only be in 1. Because if you're in 2 of them, you'll confuse people, and a confused mind will never buy. And then you have to find a sub group within that group. And then within that subgroup, you find your niche. So the 3 big groups are your red ocean, and probably the subgroup is your red ocean also. But it's the niche within that red ocean that becomes your blue ocean. And that's where you can set yourself apart. And you add value because you're giving them something they don't expect. Now, if you're doing, let's say, for instance, you're in the health industry. you're in, and you're talking about how people should eat. It's common knowledge that you should have the 4 food groups. Well, everybody knows that. People can get that anywhere. But somewhere between that and a really crazy idea is a unique idea. Something that's just off the edge a little bit that people don't expect. It isn't so crazy that people run from you, but it's something that's different than everybody else. And that's what you have to find, is that niche. There was I can't think of the name of the coffee manufacturer, but he went on a race, a mountain race, over in the Southeast Asia countries. And when he was over there, he was doing a lot of running and a lot of exercising. And he got this special tea over there that had some kind of yak oil or some coconut oil or something in it that was special. And he drank this tea and it gave him incredible energy. And he didn't lose that energy because it was fat, and he had trained his body to burn fat instead of sugars. So he got this incredible energy from it, and he got that idea, and he now created coffee here in America that has that same impact and created this huge niche. It was a little over the edge because people think of butter or coconut oil or something like that as something that's probably not that healthy for you. And normally it wouldn't be if you're doing exercise and everything else the same way that everybody else does. But if you train your body to burn fats instead of sugars, all of a sudden it becomes something that's very healthy. But it was not really crazy, but yet it wasn't the norm. It was off the edge a little bit. It was something that people didn't expect, so they saw value in it. And that's what I've learned in this last 3 to 4 months is I've always known you have to add value to people to get them to buy. You have to add more value than you get anywhere else, and you have to surprise them. But I didn't realize that niching is so important. You don't want to be broad. You want to find that niche crowd that you can support. And if you can do that, that's where success lies. And you have to live on the edge of frustration for this to make sure that it's working for you. And that's when you're going to be at your best. That's when you find the things that make the difference, that put you in that zone that's just between crazy and normal. So I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I see Kevin's on. I see Anthony, Chad, and Gina. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Have a super fantastic evening. I hope this finds you well. I'll be on every evening at 7 o'clock unless I unless I change that time, and I'll let you know the day before for some reason or another. I really would love to have some ideas of subjects that I could go over. So if you have a subject you'd like me to cover, I love that. I love Q&A. I love being challenged. So send me a message on my email, mike@inspiredmotivatedleadership.com, or you can message me on Messenger. And have a super fantastic evening once again. Thank you for being on, and we will talk soon.